Welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first tune in, my name is Colette McLeod, known as the Casual Clinician. Each thing that I talk about, I think about from a lens of my clinical training, my intuition powered, and my spirit led way of being. Today, the topic is survival mode. I hear a lot of folks talking about being in survival mode or wanting to get out of survival mode. So I wanted to just kind of weigh in on that a little bit. When it comes to survival mode, for me, it's important to recognize that it is a matter of the mind, body, and spirit. Survival mode is a matter of the mind, body, and spirit. We all know what it is. We know what it is to be in survival mode and just be focused on the things that need to get done, to be focused on the task at hand, to be focused on just making it to the next year, month, week, minute. Survival mode is centered around just being able to exist, not necessarily being able to live. And there's lots of reasons why we get into survival mode and lots of things that keep us in survival mode as well. So when I hear folks expressing a desire of wanting to have the ability to get out of survival mode, I like to really understand what they think that means in a mind, body, and spirit lens of looking at life. So with survival mode impacts our mind in a way of causing it to be or supporting it in being hypervigilant. Survival mode causes our mind to really have tunnel vision. Mm. Survival mode supports distorted perceptions. No matter how clearly we think that we see, if we can identify that we are in survival mode, our perception is distorted somewhere. And we won't always know that because it's like walking around the world with tinted glasses. But if you don't know you have tinted glasses on, you just think that everything is a shade of blue. You don't understand that the lens of which you're viewing the world creates that for you and for every single person on this planet, by the way. From a survival mode perspective, our bodies are impacted. In survival mode, we have a really, really honed in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. And in survival mode, we tend to have a really, a really adaptable ability to disconnect from our bodies, consciously or unconsciously. Having our existence be over here and our body be separated. Personally, I can tell you, growing up, I thought I had an incredibly high pain tolerance. And then around my teens, early 20s, when I started to really work through a number of things that had happened in my life and that were happening in my life, when I really started to look at what it meant to be in survival mode and really started to think about there may be a different way of living, I realized I didn't have an incredibly high pain tolerance. I had an incredibly skilled way to disconnect from my body in a way that allowed it to withstand whatever I thought it needed to. When it comes to survival mode within our bodies, also, we can have a way of mistreating our bodies. We can have a way of discounting our bodies. And that discounting can be not really, not really acknowledging and recognizing all that our bodies do for us, not really acknowledging all that our bodies give to us and the information that it provides. Our body's role within survival mode is often one that is filled with detachment and reactivity. Within our spirit, when we are in survival mode, within our spirit, we tend to have a way of really minimizing, dampening, or not giving voice to that intuitive, deeper truth part of ourselves. In a place of survival mode, I may not be able to hear my spirit as well. Or if I do, perhaps I discount it. Perhaps I doubt it. Perhaps I judge it. And when we're in survival mode from a spirit standpoint, we can really, really embody this sense of powerlessness and embody this sense of denying our own agency. And none of those things are true, no matter how true they feel. This video is really not about giving folks the path out. I am a firm believer that, yes, there's a path out, and I'll probably say a couple of things to it, but this is not lighting the path there. I'm a firm believer that when we are looking to shift something, when we are looking to grow within something, when we are truly looking to expand our souls, the first thing that we have to do is not map a way out. First thing that we have to do is understand it, to get beside it, to deepen into it. I think about my grandmother when she used to teach us how to pull weeds when we were kids. It wasn't enough to just snatch what was above ground out. When we pulled weeds, and I know some of y'all get this reference, it was about getting down to the root. There was a gentleness that we had to pull the weeds with to make sure that we were getting the entire root system. It's the same thing when we're looking to shift something in our lives, especially survival mode. We want to better understand what that looks like within us, mind, body, and spirit, because we want to be able to fully understand what we are asking ourselves to release and what we are asking ourselves to commit to. If I'm looking to get out of survival mode, I need to understand that I'm asking myself to commit to being inside of my body. And if that's been a primary way that I've protected myself, if that's been a primary way that I've moved through life, that's a big ask. It's a doable ask, and it's a big ask. From a mind perspective, I need to understand that when I'm looking to get out of survival mode, I am asking my mind to be open. I'm asking my mind to be open to taking in other information. I'm asking my mind to be open to asking for feedback. I'm asking my mind to be open to the idea that my perception is not on point. What am I asking my spirit to do if I'm looking to get out of survival mode? I'm really asking my spirit. For me, it started off with an acknowledgement in some form of apology or forgiveness about all that I had done to keep it quiet and to keep it as far back in the recesses of my mind as possible, and asking my spirit to forgive me, which it has no issue in doing, but to be a guiding source for me, and asking my spirit to guide me. And while that is a wonderful and a beautiful thing, the commitment to that means I may not always know where I'm going. My spirit may, but I may not always be privy to that information. I tend to think of it like this. Sometimes, most times, all the time, I am led to do certain things, even like creating a YouTube channel. That may not be something that I'm looking to do necessarily. It may not be something that I specifically want to do. And when my spirit tells me something is true, that is where I go. And so there's a trust that happens there. There's an acceptance that happens there. There's an acknowledgement that happens there. And there's a commitment to the work of being able to hear my spirit clearly. And that has been a significant amount of work that's been incredibly rewarding. And that level of trust in a body that has lived In survival mode, that's a big ask. So if you're looking to get out of survival mode, really deepen into how it's showing up for you. Really deepen into what you are asking your mind, body, and spirit to do as you look to exit this. What I find is that it really helps people to bring themselves along in the journey. We do not get to move as fast as we want to move. We get to move as fast as our slowest parts. And if we can bring all parts of ourself along in the journey at the same time, that's thriving. And it's a beautiful thing. I'd love to hear from you in the comments and be on the lookout for part two because I feel like this topic is not done.